I'm Osborne Foreman, and in this video I'm going to reveal my entire net worth at the age of 21. I'm going to break down all of my asset allocations, including also how I track my net worth. I think the change since I last made a video on my net worth 8 months ago is incredibly impressive that I really felt that I had to make an update on this. And I hope that it may inspire some people to start investing if they have not done so already. And if you enjoy the video or like it, please drop one of these, support the channel. I feel that I should briefly give a reminder of what I do, how much I earn, and what my net worth actually was 8 months ago. For those of you that don't already know, I work in a pub. I've been doing this since around 2019. And as of this video, I am currently furloughed. However, when this video is uploaded, as I am recording on Sunday, I would have likely already returned to work and be doing shifts. In this job, I am not full-time, although technically I am. Instead, I am given shifts, at which point these shifts can vary week to week, meaning that my paycheck changes drastically. Furlough has meant that I've had some consistency over the last however long I've been furloughed at this point, but it does mean that week to week my income is going to change. However, roughly it is around £250 a week, which annually would be around £13,000. Due to furlough, I earn a little bit less than that in the last year. 8 months ago, my net worth was around £10,000. However, since that point, I've personally been in lockdown for a majority of that time. This would be because my area was also put into lockdown before the national lockdown, but overall we've all had a similar experience during this time. At which point it's easier to save money as there's less things you can spend money on. Obviously there's online gaming or gambling, which are interesting rename, but I digress. It's a lot harder in my position to end up spending money. And this means I'm able to save a huge majority of my income. I don't have any children to feed, I don't have mortgage to pay, in fact I have barely any regular bills. So this means I can save a lot of what I earn. And I also live with my parents, that means I've got a roof over my head and food on the table. Therefore, since I have minimal regular bills, and this means a majority of my actual spending that doesn't go towards my investments is usually on discretionary purchases, which I am fairly guilty of. And time to time I may make a big discretionary purchase. And I can in fact be quite impulsive at times. A really recent example of this, and hence why the whole room, or my camera angle at the very least, has changed, is because I wanted to buy some hair product as it doesn't stay up, which isn't a bad thing, so when it drops down it looks right. But anyway, if I'd have bought this hair product, I would have had to have paid double the price just for delivery. Then I saw an advertisement for an electric drum kit, something that I'm interested in as my last one didn't work properly. So naturally I had bought the electric drum kit as well, and usually this happens about 3 times a year. I might buy something impulsive, but I would in a way delude myself as it is an investment for myself. The drum kit, which is sat behind the camera, is an investment in my mental health, in my opinion. This watch that I bought probably about 8 months ago was also an investment, perhaps more of another one for my mental health, but something that would last and likely hold its value. So for the majority of this year, excluding the likes of the drum kit, the watch, and of the camera, which was a business expense in that regard, I've been able to save pretty much everything else. I don't really buy other things. I might buy the occasional video game for the computer or other various things, but other than that, there's really not much. This means I can put a lot of money into my investment portfolio. This combined with my YouTube income from adverts and monetization, and also my affiliate marketing income, like referring users to sign up to FREETRADE, because if they sign up to FREETRADE, they can get a free share worth up to £200 using the link in the description down below. That was really cheesy, but I had to do it. As of this video, I have a majority of my assets invested in the stock market, which would be individual stocks and shares. More specifically, I only hold 6 investments. I do also have a pension, which in hindsight I've overlooked, which has around £250 in, and that's invested in Nest with a Sharia fund. In that same investment ISA, I also have a 3.5% cash position. So this means 98.5% of my entire net worth is inside of my investment ISA. For some, that may be extreme, because that is a very risky way to have diversification between assets. In my opinion, I think that this risk is necessary at my level of wealth. I don't have 7 figures. I'm not looking to necessarily preserve my wealth, but rather increase my risk so that there's a higher chance that I may be able to increase my wealth rapidly so that then I can get to the stage at which I'm looking to preserve it. At the moment, I see no need to diversify this net worth. Perhaps if I did have 6, 7 figures, then I would look into the likes of property. At that point, I would have diversification between property. I may even put some more diversification into crypto, although that's more speculative in my opinion, and such. But I feel that now is the time that I should invest as much as I can afford, so that 10, 20 years down the line, I may have a significant portion of wealth. Although I've yet to decide where I would invest this money, and I would likely not sell my investments inside my ISA shelter. Instead, I would hope that over this time period that my earnings power increases alongside with my investments, so that at that time period I'll be able to save more money and therefore then use that money to then buy property if I so choose to do so. I also have debt. Well, not quite what you would expect, and it's in the form of short-term credit card debt. Because I chose to do this video on this exact day, and since I've recently made an impulse purchase for the drum kit, which is behind the camera, this means that my credit cards do have a balance. I obviously plan to pay this off in full by the end of the month, but it still stands. I have 3 credit cards. 2 of these are American Express. Another one is a Barclay card. One of the American Express cards I use for business, although it's not really, it's just where I separate my purchases on YouTube and what I do with the channel versus my personal expenses. On this business card, recently I bought a monitor arm so that I could move around the monitor as I will. The plant pot, which is named Keith, and also the likes of a Wi-Fi adapter, which you can see at the back of the computer just there. I would hope that the monitor arm would increase my productivity so that I'm able to work and achieve more. The likes of a Wi-Fi adapter was a well-needed upgrade so that now I can upload videos faster and spend my time doing other things. The likes of my personal cards, such as my backup non-Amex card, which would be the likes of the Barclay card, I use for random discretionary spending, usually smaller purchases or things that don't generally accept American Express. The likes of this, in the last month I've spent around £30, and this is just from random video game purchases like downloadable content for Vermintide 2. This card also covers my monthly FREETRADE Plus bill too. The last card is my main personal card, which I use American Express with, and that's where a majority of the spending is, which is around £300, which was for some hair product that doesn't keep my hair up, and for the drum kit behind the camera. In total, I have £366.99 in short-term debt, which I fully expect to be paid off by the end of the month, but this is something that would be impacting my total net worth. At this point, you may be wondering, how do I track all of my net worth? How am I able to do this? As you may already know, that I'm not very skilled with using spreadsheets. So if I haven't got a complex spreadsheet to track my net worth, how am I doing it? Instead, a free service or product that I use is MoneyDashboard. No, this video is not sponsored. I've hooked up all of my credit cards, bank accounts, and investment accounts, although unfortunately at the moment most investment brokers don't have an open API, which MoneyDashboard requires. This means that I have to use offline accounts or manually input the total value of my investments with a specific broker, and I usually update that once a week. I do have hopes for the future in which FREETRADE does open or have an open AI on their platform, API, at which point then it would be really easy to track and then I could have everything in one place. This personally saves me a lot of time where I'd have to where I would have to tally up all of my bank accounts, all of my investments, and then deduct my credit card bills. It means it's all in one place and I can regularly see my net worth, which I think is good for motivation. It's very encouraging to see that change, even if it goes up or down, because the majority of my net worth is invested in stocks. And it's great to see how much it's changed in the last few years, or in my case, in the last 2. As perhaps a specific example, which I can't provide evidence for because I didn't think of it at the time, but in August 2019, I remember after the end of a festival, which was nearing the end of the month, in my bank account after that, which I didn't have much anyway, I ended with around £7.40, which was the lowest it had been for a long time, which in my position, that might be high for some people. But in my case, that was very low. At that point, I then started my job in the pub as I finished education late, as I did sixth form and college and finished at 19 in summer. And then I obviously continued and started working. Whilst my bank account doesn't look much better because I use a mind hack or a life hack, as what I try to do is use a majority of that money and push it into my investments or other savings pots, so that when I look at my current account, it has a low figure and I'm then less likely to spend money that I don't have because I'm tricking myself. I do feel that this has massively benefited my investments and subsequently my net worth. However, before you say I have little money in my bank account, I do have a business emergency fund, which would be for the instance where my camera breaks, my computer breaks, or any other vital equipment that I use to continue making videos on the channel, which is still being built up every single month so that these purchases could be covered, and then it's more resilient in that regard because everything else I have, I don't really need replacing. Worst comes worst, if my chair breaks, it's not that big of a deal and I will work a way around it. I don't know why I said chair, that was a terrible example. Now today, according to MoneyDashboard, and forgive me as I will need to look at my screen, I have a net worth of £25,485.99, which is mind-blowing. To think it has come so far in the last 8 months is incredible to see, and it's really encouraging to see that I did make quite a high bar to reach of a goal of £100,000 net worth by the end of 2023. It's really encouraging to see that I'm already a quarter of the way there. However, a majority of my assets are invested in the stock market, and at any moment, especially if we are in bubble territory, this figure could drop drastically, especially if any of my stock picks are of a lower quality or have profit warnings like the recent Novocyte warning. And I'm incredibly happy with the results so far, and it's really great to see this progress. A counter argument that I hear frequently is that, well, I'm saving a lot of money now, and that's great, but I may be missing out on enjoying my youth and where I could be going out and enjoying life. Obviously, it was been made easier for everyone in the last year and a half as, well, the pandemic has forced us to be at home and likely spend less. But I'm incredibly happy and I really enjoy buying stocks or just interacting with things in the stock market. This is a hobby to me and it's a very productive one at that. I don't necessarily need to go out. I don't need to fulfill social obligations in that regard. I'm happy, and when I am working in the pub, if I do need to have the urge to go out and talk to someone, I can. I don't smoke, so I don't have to pay for that. I rarely drink because I know that I can't control it. So why bother? And I feel that just holding off for a few years now could mean that 10, 15 years down the line, my life is massively benefited. And at that point, I may be able to decide what I want to do. It could mean that whilst I'm still working, I may be able to take multiple vacations in a year. The quality of life changes from just investing now for a few years in the future could be absolutely massive. And if I'm able to get ahead, I feel that that is more worthwhile than going out and spending some perhaps more meaningless nights drinking away. Obviously, with that goal of reaching £100,000 by the end of 2023, that's a tough bar to reach, and I'm heavily reliant on compound interest. I hope that my stock picking ability is able to keep going, as the last year has been good, but not amazing, obviously. If you'd like to see that, I'll leave a card at the top right of the video for my entire market performance in the last year, but I hope that it is possible that I can reach this goal. After all, there's no point in setting an easy goal, and I'd rather go for a very difficult one to achieve. If you're interested in signing up to MoneyDashboard, which is on the screen here, and what I use to track my net worth, then click the link in the description down below. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.